So the topic is, of course, very interesting. It's about connected trips, right? So at TravClan also, we are working a lot with travel agents, and we see that how the traveler behavior is evolving, how the travel agent behavior is evolving. And we have gone through a lot of surveys, we get a lot of market feedback, and we see that the demand for personalized experiences, experience economy, as a lot of organizations refer it, it's increasing at a very rapid pace. And when you look at connected trips, so just to set the context, it is not about just the personalization, but it is about stitching together all the components which go into building a good travel experience, starting from flights, rail, ground transportation, hotels, accommodation, your attractions, transfer. So it's a multitude of components, and it's important to stitch it together in a way that the traveler experiences a very personalized, cohesive kind of an experience on the ground, right? So it's not just about distribution, but it's also about how it is operated, executed on the ground. Now, given that both Mujtaba and Anoop, they come from a GDS background, which have been primarily associated with being as a flight travel tech company. So it's important for us to understand how are these organizations looking at connected trips as a concept, and what steps are you taking to further enhance your venture into this area. So Mujtaba, would you like to take a, yeah.
Right. You can hear me, right? So I think it's a very interesting topic, first of all, right? Travel is all about connections. While this is a very oft-repeated statement, but I think in the GDS industry, the core idea is that we are trying to gather data for sale, right? So a connected trip is very much an in thing. There is no denying that fact. And in fact, any GDS is now looking beyond selling the pure air part of the itinerary, right? So there is a core product which is air segments, or it could be a hotel segment, or it could be a rail segment. But we are trying to sell a connected segment or a super PNR or an order ID. In fact, by the way, that is the theme of NDC also. That if you have an order ID, you can club in a lot of other segments and content into it. So if you look at the airline world, you have a fare class in RBD. If you look at the NDC world, you have an order ID. But our definition of connected trip starts from more fundamental concepts. So if you look at today what a Make My Trip does today in India, like MMT Connect, or what, let's say, for example, Hoppers does in Germany, we are powering a lot of data for them to make connected trips. They can forecast, they can build virtual interlining, which is mixing of LCC and FSC. We also have a solution today where there are a lot of airports which offer connected experience at the airport for virtual interlining passenger. One of the airports is Rome. Second airport is Abu Dhabi, for example, right? So what we are trying to do is gather a lot of raw data so that partners like yourselves and other travel sellers, and especially the OTAs or the API-based travel agents, can actually build connected trips. So I think the GDS world is more geared, and for Amadeus, I can say that with confidence, we are more geared towards creating the right data which any travel seller can use for creating a connected trip. That is point number one. Point number two is that we are also trying to get rid of our image as a typical GDS. We are no longer a GDS. If you see the company name that I represent, it clearly says Amadeus IT Free Zone Company, right? So what is happening is the focus is more on development and engineering of core products, right? So if you look now again, the focus of Amadeus IT, you look at our revenue breakups, almost 62% of our revenues come from engineering of connected trips, right? So be it the airport, be it the railway stations, primarily in Europe, be it close to about 250 airlines, we are their backend. So the core job is to create data for assisting a connected trip. And we also have something called Amadeus Ventures and also Amadeus Startups. So we invest in a lot of companies which actually help travel sellers like you and other travel sellers who could be present, or other travel sellers across the globe, that you can, using all those products, build connected trips. So I'll give you a couple of examples. We have Airport R as one of our startups. Over entire Europe, what they do is that they offer you baggage-less travel. So once you register your baggage with them and give a piece of your itinerary to them, they would follow it to the hilt and you will keep getting the baggages in the hotel or wherever you are staying. Similarly, for hotel core product and channel manager, we have TravClan. Similarly, we have hotel minds for hotel revenue management, right? And also for finding the best deal because we are a B2B company. So there are a lot of startups that we are investing in to help travel sellers build connected trips.
Got it. Anoop, what's your perspective on this?
Except for the names, a lot of it actually overlaps with what my co-panelist Mujtaba spoke about. Let me start by quoting two numbers basically, which is an output of a Travelport global survey, which I represent in India as ITQ. 56% of the people surveyed say that travel has become a lot more complex than it was 10 years back. Second is 75% of the people who responded mentioned that they rely or there's a need for a platform, a subscription-based platform, which addresses all their travel-related requirements. So, talking about the main subject, on the connectivity, we understand airline bit quite deep. In fact, GDS is one of the most wonderful platform you can have. It has been there for last 30 odd years. It lays a very strong foundation for what we are able to deliver now with all the initiatives, what we're going to talk about. We good in air, we good in edifact content, but now we are implementing NDC. People had written off earlier to GDS that NDC is not a typical GDS forte. We caught up, and right now all the GDS, I'm not talking about our own Travelport, have been very fast in implementing NDC connectivity. The whole idea is to have as much as content possible, what we call multi-source content. As ITQ, we realize this. We understand India and Lanka market quite well. We are deeply penetrated. And we felt that exactly what I spoke about the numbers, as people need a single platform which can address all their travel requirements. And last few years, and which has actually accelerated a lot in last couple of years, is that we are into forward integration mode, where we are adopting technologies which enables either a travel agent or even, in fact, end user to have accessibility to multi-source content, but with the logic that there is no repetitive content. It is optimized. It has some sense to it, and it is also a very importantly authenticated output. And then, just to give an example, talking about the corporate space, we have come up with solutions which give all multimodal options, hotels, flights, ground transport, even visa, to a user through corporate booking platforms, self-booking platforms. Right now, we are into a stage where we are also implementing what you call expense management. So all these things are being realized by GDS. We have understood it. Being already present in the market, knowing our customers, we have been able to respond to it adequately. Of course, there has to be a lot more speed to implement a lot of solutions. It's a big challenge, but we are, I think, measuring up quite well.
Got it. So you both spoke about a couple of aspects, right? One was multimodality, then you spoke about capturing data, sharing that data with your partners. Then you also spoke about corporate side of the travel, right? Now, when we think of connected trips, right? So one question which often comes to our mind is that from a tech perspective, we can build a lot of solutions around it, and both your organizations are doing that. But operationally, for example, if somebody comes to your platform and they stitch together various components and they do the complete purchase on the system, when it comes to on-ground execution, then how do you manage the operations, right? For example, when it comes to a flight PNR, and there's a connecting flight from, say, Delhi, Abu Dhabi, Rome, As a traveler and as a travel agent, I know that the airline will take care of ensuring that the traveler reaches the final destination, right? But when we say stitch together a flight and a hotel and a ground transport, let's assume just the airport transfer, right? And let's take as an example if the flight is getting delayed. Now, as a traveler, I will expect the seller to be able to manage everything end to end, the information to flow seamlessly from the airline to the ground transporter, and that should also be relayed probably to the hotel so that the check-in can be arranged accordingly. So, from an operations perspective, where do you place the accountability? Who is responsible for it? Who is accountable for it? And then, does that? I know it's a long question, but then does that take you away from being a pure tech company and making it a bit more operations intensive? What are your perspectives? Musa, we can start with you.
I think, as I clearly said, for the GDS, our responsibility is information, actionable data, and also some tools in the form of plugins or giving you a platform for booking or APIs, right? And at best, making those APIs open source, right? Free of charge, at least for people who are really interested in building solutions. The customer is owned by our travel sellers. Naturally, it doesn't mean that we don't take care of them. In the airline world, which is more standardized, we have products called Amadeus Discover, Amadeus A10, where we are giving a lot of information to a consumer who's booked, right? It could be gate change, it could be when is your flight boarding. Apart from the announcements, you could get digital information. We have even a product called Eat There, which covers all the eateries at different airports in the world, right? So we are trying to cover certain aspects of customer service. Also, it includes information if your flight gets delayed due to certain weather or political or certain events which nobody can forecast. But if the event takes place, we are trying to give you an estimated delay, etc., as a consumer. But to take the responsibility of the consumer that he or she would reach the hotel, or if the hotel room has been cancelled, probably they are reaching after midnight. I think that lies with the travel sellers. At best, we can again send information as an alert. And in the airline world, Amadeus is totally seamless. We are the backend of most of the airlines in the LCC world, right, through Navitaire. And we also have Amadeus Altia. Now we are launching Amadeus Nevio as a product, which will take care of this apart from being the hosting system. Okay. Right. In the hotel world, we unfortunately have reached the stage of only up to a channel manager. I think that is where now the next wave of innovation will take place. And as I said, we are trying to invest in a lot of startups who could fill in that gap. But our role remains restricted to providing information to travel sellers who then can take care of the end customer.
Understood. Anoop, I believe it's similar with ITQ as well, or do you have a different approach to it?
More or less same.
Okay.
See, as Travelport, we came up with something called RCH, Rail Content Hub, Air Content Hub. We came up with a platform for cruises also. And we thought it quite early in a time where people were not able to understand it. So we had challenge that time that we're going too fast. Then the market could, or the tech companies could absorb it. But we have this platform which addresses all these modes of travel. Having said that, adding further to it, see, there is a challenge. When you talk about multimodal, for example, combining cab with air travel, with some rail transport, what GDS relies on is the contracting as a guarantee of services. Now, securing that in these other forms of travel is not always easy. Contracting becomes very important. So that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. Tech actually is easy. Most of these suppliers or most of these channels have a good tech platform to integrate. So from GDS and from the tech company perspective, I think tech is something which is going to be there, but securing contracts, ensuring service quality is a big challenge. Just to give an example, one of the large B2B players in India, I will not name it, but for every hotel booking which is made in their platform, one person from their backend support, they call up every hotel to confirm those bookings.
Yeah.
So it can be as rudimentary as that. So unless we sort this out of issue of contracting and securing guarantee of services, I think rest of it is actually easy.
Understood. So I have a closing question each because I'm being given the cue. So Anoop, I'll start with you. When we think of such investments, right? So there has to be a certain return on that expected investment, right? Now, from ITQ's perspective, when you invest into such new emerging technologies, so do you look at it as a revenue driving investment, or do you look at it as a probably experience enhancing investment? Because when we think of connected trips, right, from a traveler's perspective, it is about the enhanced experience, lot more personalized experience, a lot more seamless experience. What is ITQ's take on it?
Like getting away from the GDS revenue model, you are right. These are all cost. We need to have, there are costs related to hosting those products, cost required for developing those products, constant updates, putting a large tech company, acquiring companies. All these are cost, and the model which GDS or a company like us look into is, of course, we are supporting our customers. That's our number one priority, to help them form those connected trips. That's empowering them. That's the main objective. While securing that objective, if I need to place certain services which has its own cost, we have a subscription model, which basically means charging for the services. Uh, and there is also a revenue channel which is available is if we are promoting some tech company for some solution, we are able to get some revenue share from them also.
Got it.
So basically, two revenue channels over there, but it has to be taken care of. Otherwise, how will we sustain?
Understood. And Mujtaba, slightly different question, right? But we have a mixed set of audience. There are some early stage entrepreneurs. There are some of us who represent fairly large organizations. And then there are certain large offline travel agencies as well, which are part of the audience today, right? Now, when we think of investing into technology, there are always a lot of options, and it gets down to prioritizing which to invest in, right? So how do you look at connected trips as a concept? So for this audience, do you think it's important enough area today? And if yes, then what kind of return to expect? Like Anoop said, there has to be a certain ROI on it. So do you think we should see it as a differentiator? Like this can be the mode which the organization builds to provide a superior experience and increase their business? Or you have some other suggestions on that?
No, I think, see, if one can build a connected trip, right, and one can build a solution to bring around a connected trip seamlessly, then it's a very paying proposition from a travel seller's perspective, right? And from our perspective as well at Amadeus, I think there's no denying the fact that we see value in it.
Okay.
Right? And it's not an either-or situation. While it is a experience enhancing product, we definitely want to make revenue also. Otherwise, we can't sustain it for a long time, right? So I think the companies really have to come up with innovative solutions. If you see, even Booking.com has advertised themselves as a connected trips player, but you buy everything standalone. And if today you have to conjure a journey to Europe, let's say for your clients, it takes about 4 to 5 hours, right, for your consultant to actually build an itinerary, then send it, also customized as per each customer or family or group of travelers. If you could automate that, the customer would pay you some extra bucks, right? There is a premium for automating anything where a consumer is spending 4 to 5 hours.
Got it.
So I think, it's a great concept, but solving it is very tough. And as we are B2B companies, I speak for both Amadeus and Galileo, we are B2B companies. If we build a solution, then we automatically have traveled that path, we become B2C companies. So we want to resist that temptation. So we will always provide tools, we will always democratize tools, and we would keep the cost under check for entrepreneurs and technology companies. And at Amadeus, as I said, we have a slightly empirical and scientific process. If you think you want to collaborate with us, you could register as a venture, you could register as a promising startup. We'll work with you if you are selected, and we will have some stake as well in that.
Okay.
And so today we have investments in more than 160 startups globally.
Okay.
Right, and that is one growth engine for Amadeus. We can't do it all without, on our own. So we are trying to partner with bright minds.
Understood. Great. So conceptually, we understood that both the organizations are making investments in it, right? And you touched upon certain facets of it from an experience perspective, from a return perspective, and you also spoke about the program. One last thing before, because I'm getting curious about it, right? So, say historically, a lot of people have tried connected trips in a simpler shape and format, which is when somebody buys a flight, they also book a hotel. The organization tries to push the hotel as well, right? And it has not worked. The success rate is not very high at TravClan also, and I'm sure that a lot of our organizations have tried that in the past. So if any of you, one of you can take a quick suggestion, not a suggestion, but rather your belief on it. If there's a simpler way to get it executed in a better way.
You want to take it or should I?
We have the last 2
See,
minutes.
airlines have a concept called fare families or upsell. You quote the lowest fare, and then you try and upsell. Saying that the first cancellation is free, or you can have 5 kg extra baggage. A very good product could be that you upsell a fare which has a hotel price bundled with it. Right?
Yeah.
There will be takers, at least in the corporate world, there would be takers. Or if you see IRCTC at one point of time tried to bundle the ground transportation, which is cab, if you remember, right? They didn't do a great job of it in terms of execution, but there is a value in these kind of propositions. So I would like to be optimistic.
Understood.
Right? I think to answer your question.
Understood. So they have started showing the agenda. So it's a cue to time to go, time to leave the stage. But thank you so much, Anoop and Mujtaba, for sharing your thoughts. Sanjay, are we taking up audience questions, or do we do that offline? We can take one question. So if there's any question in the audience, one last question. Otherwise, we can always connect offline on the topic. Okay, there is one person over there.
Hello. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Samir. I'm from Tech Screen Services. My question is that, when we look at booking travel online, booking a flight, booking a hotel, car rental, booking things in isolation is still matured and standardized to a level, right? But when it comes to connected trips, it is not so much so, right? So one is, why is that, and what are the main challenges? And second is, what are some of the things that AI can help with when it comes to solving these challenges?
Anoop, you want to?
See, I think your question has two parts, Samir. Why connected trips have not hit the kind of success, and what role can new technologies like AI play in it? See, the first reason that connected trips may not have taken off is a lack of standardization in backend systems which provide content for booking, right? So as I said, if you look at the GDS world, it's not that they chose airlines, it's just that airline is more standardized. It's easier to bring in that value to the travel seller. In the hotel world, the same job is done by maybe, first of all, there are no regulators, but if you look at channel manager at some kind of a regulator, there are more than 15 established channel managers, right? Which one IATA would do it in case of an airline. So there is no rule defining body or no framework, presenting body for example, in the hotel world. Similarly, for cabs, it could be even more fragmented from city to city. So who actually does the standardization is the big question. And as Anoop was talking about a while ago, who would do all the contracting, who would define the rules, who would enforce those rules, and if the rules are broken, what are the consequences? So who's going to be the judge, jury, and executioner of it? Because we are all here to make money by offering some value to our customers. But your question on AI, so see, there are a lot of technologies. There is blockchain, there is AI, there is ML. But the fact remains, they will work in individual circles, right? This is a concentric circle. For example, I quote you the lowest fare. This is the first or the core product of a circle. The next augmented product is upsell or higher fares. Third circle is ancillaries. Fourth circle is post-sales experience, what happens to you at the airport as a traveler. Fifth circle is when I take you to the hotel, what experience do you get? In best of hotels, in 5-star, 7-star hotels, your check-in is an average of 15 minutes. That's the worst experience I feel you can have after 7 to 8 hours of journey, right? So when you talk about all this, can AI play a role? Yes, AI will play a role, but there is no defined framework for travel in AI. So somebody would have to do it. I assume GDS should take that responsibility, and there is money to be made on, obviously.
Just on the addressing the first part, one way, you've spoken about the challenges, but one way we are trying to address this issue is to have a bundled API. Instead of, so many mandates being taken in, each and every integration takes at least 45 days or even 2 months of effort. We are doing that hard work and at least creating a platform in form of a bundled API which travel agency or an operator can consume. So that's one way of making it easy, and going forward we are just on the process of, we have a concept called Master PNR which has all those elements of the travel, be it a cab or be it a train or be it a flight segment. So that is where we started. It's a long way. I don't want to say anything, but things are moving very fast. But there are a lot of challenges in terms of securing standard technology platform, what Mujtaba said, and also the contracting bit, which I also spoke about earlier.
Just to add, Sameer, there is an airline in India, I cannot name them. They are trying to bring an upsell product which bundles the hotel booking along with air, right? It is one of the largest airlines in India. That's a hint good enough to decipher who they are. We are supporting them as a partner. If that happens, you will see at least some sort of connected trip by an airline, right? And the last thing is, if you represent a technology company and you want access to APIs, we can have a talk, and Amadeus would be more than happy to offer you those APIs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mujtaba. Thank you so much, Anoop, for sharing your thoughts.